Have you been curious about creating AI images? Maybe you've dabbled with these tools a little bit but found it challenging to create anything truly useful. Well, I've been dabbling in these AI tools for years now, and it wasn't only until recently that one of my clients nudged me and I began to look for a systematic and methodical approach for using these tools in a professional setting. It was a daunting task, to say the least. I hope this video can save you the many hours I spent trying to figure this stuff out. I'm going to break this all down for you step by step so that by the end of this video you're going to have a process for creating your own mesmerizing AI images that can follow even the strictest of brand guidelines. This is going to be super useful for marketing teams and designers looking to create consistent and brand aligned imagery efficiently. It's going to be helpful for content creators who are looking to generate high quality visuals that reflect their brand's identity. It's going to be helpful for business owners who are looking to maintain a strong brand identity. It's going to be super helpful for social media managers who are in charge of producing engaging and cohesive content across various platforms. If you're new to the Blazing Zebra channel, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining me on my mission of helping marketers and entrepreneurs and designers and creative individuals all over the world learn to use these new AI tools. If you're getting something out of these videos, please check out my Patreon options. I've got cheat sheets for all of the videos that I create. These are immediately available to anybody who joins the Patreon. I've also got some coaching options in there as well. So the first method today, we're going to use the describe function in MidJourney to train these AI models to create prompts that can consistently generate things that are in your style or that adhere to your brand guidelines. Then the second method, we're going to train it using your style guide. So the first method is using just reference images that you have that really represent your brand. And then the second is if you do have a very defined style guide, you can use that to train these models and generate these brand specific prompts. We're then going to get into just a little bit of the MidJourney command summary. As I was creating this video, I found all these different MidJourney commands that I had no idea existed. So I've got that for you. I want to walk you through that. A little bit about negative prompts. I think that's a pretty critical thing to understand, how to make sure that it's not adding certain things into your images is almost as important as what to add in there. So that can be very helpful. I'm going to look into some post-processing techniques to really take it to the next level. These are intermediate or advanced techniques that can ensure that your images really pop and that they are all aligned with one another. Then I'm going to show you some of my favorite MidJourney prompts that I've collected from the MidJourney magazine. If you haven't subscribed to this magazine, I highly recommend it. It comes out once a month, has a bunch of beautiful images all created with MidJourney, and more importantly, it has the prompts used to create those images. So it's kind of a master class each month of image prompts, and I have stored up a bunch of those. I'll show you a few that have been pretty cool that I've gained from these magazines that I'm using in some of the images that I create. So jumping right into the cheat sheet, as you may know, I create one of these for each video that I make. All of the cheat sheets are instantly available to anyone who joins my Patreon. So if you want to follow along, there's a link in the description to this cheat sheet, and that'll get you access to all of the cheat sheets that I've created. Now there's over 80 in there. So the first method we're going to do here, the first method we're going to walk through is using this describe function inside of MidJourney. If you've never ever used MidJourney before, and if you're new to Discord, I have a whole section on how to get started here, getting started with MidJourney and Discord, logging into Discord, joining the MidJourney server, etc. I'm not going to go through all of that. There are a lot of videos out there that can help you with that, but that is in the cheat sheet. If you're brand new, this will help you get started if you're a brand new beginner. We're going to dive right into this process. So step one, gathering your brand images. So finding 3 images that really represent your brand guidelines. And then we're going to jump into MidJourney. I'm going to show you how all of this works. we're going to use this describe function that is basically, instead of taking a prompt, taking text and turning text into an image, it's actually taking an image and turning it into text. So it's taking your images and creating prompts from those images. And then we're going to use a large language model to analyze those. So let's get going on that. Here's Discord. This is how you access MidJourney. Again, if you're brand new, you need to log into Discord and find your MidJourney bot, which should look something like this. For today's example, I've grabbed this image from Mercedes-Benz. They have some pretty iconic images, and they're all obviously very aligned to a world-renowned brand. So this is the exercise we're going to work through today, trying to recreate this style inside of MidJourney. So in MidJourney, if you're familiar, you oftentimes use this imagine command to create whatever you're trying to create. But today we are going to use the describe command. And you just do this little backslash and describe. Click on that. And the options are here. You can either give it a link or an image. And I think if you're giving it a link, it can't just be to a web page. It needs to be to a specific image. So almost always I just use this image option. I'm going to upload that image that I just showed you of those cars, trucks, Jeeps, whatever you call it. And this is going to take a second, but it is going to generate several different prompts based on that image. And here they are, 3 different prompts based on that one image with all sorts of interesting stuff in here. It has this aspect ratio. If you don't know what that means, it doesn't matter. We'll get into it in a second. But you can see that there's some that are very long, some that are very short. Now the next step here is to imagine all of these. So we want to test this out, see how well these match our reference here. So I'm going to click imagine all, and it's going to run those prompts the same way if you would have just created those prompts from scratch using that imagine command. It's going to run through all those, and this is critical to the process because we want to see the accuracy of these prompts. Just as I had surmised, these are pretty close. And those have all just run. I'm amazed at how fast MidJourney is getting. When I started this probably about 2 years ago, it was much slower. What we're looking for now is which of these match our reference, our original image, the best. And specifically, I'm hoping to see that almost all of the 4 images, it's creating 4 different examples from each prompt. I want to see which one are all 4 examples the closest to that reference image. This one's feeling pretty good. Here's the reference image again. So I'm going to go ahead and say that number 2 is the winner. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to just store this somewhere in my notes. Now I'm going to repeat that entire process using this image, which is another image from Mercedes-Benz. There are the 4 different prompts. I'm going to imagine all of them. Imagine simply means run the prompt, if you haven't figured that out already. So what do we got here? These are pretty interesting. All of these feel fairly close to our reference. Let's take a look at that reference again. Here it is. I'm especially looking for the lighting and the background. Also the, hyper realistic. We want to avoid it looking too like an illustration because these are obviously photographs. I think this second one is looking good. So I'm grabbing that prompt and I'm going to save that as well. So now we have a couple prompts, different prompts that describe images that we know are close to our brand. And now we're going to analyze those with a large language model. So we're going to take the best performing MidJourney prompts. We're going to paste them into an LLM. Today I'm going to use Claude. And we are going to ask to look for similarities between the prompts. And this is what has really helped. This is the remixer prompt that really helps focus and identify on the most frequently used words or phrases and helps us create a new prompt that combines these elements verbatim, prioritizing those that appear in multiple prompts. So this is really helping us hone in on the similarities between those winning prompts. Let me show you how this works. So here are the two winning prompts. I'm going to take out the actual product in there because we want to be able to change that. We don't want that to confuse anything. The ideal output here is a prompt that we can then insert any different type of image that we want and get something similar. So now I've gone ahead and anonymized those prompts a little bit to take the product out of there. So ideally we'll be able to put in different products and get that same look, that same feel, same lighting, etc. Now I'm dropping this remix prompt into Claude, and I'm taking our winning prompts and I'm going to remix those. I'm going to set these apart with 3 quotation marks. This is a trick I learned to really help the large language model focus in on letting them know that, hey, these are prompts, that this is the context of what we want you to focus on, setting these prompts apart. When you start creating prompts about prompts, it gets very confusing for the large language model. But anyway, the way to solve that is to use these quotation marks in there to let it know, hey, this is what you're manipulating. So we'll run that. It's going to remix those prompts ideally into a one master prompt that we'll then test and see if it works. Awesome. It was really critical. I was hoping it would do this. It would pick up on that professional photography, Canon EOS R5, really letting us know that this is the style that we're going for. The lighting is in here. The background is in there. And then this placeholder is in there as well. So let's grab this. Now we'll test it using the imagine command. So now I'm taking that remixed prompt, which has the best of our other prompts, saying, hey, let's imagine or create these images, a group of Mercedes-Benz motorcycles in various colors parked on an empty parking lot with rocky terrain and mountains in the background, shot from the left at sunset, dark sky at night, professional photography, Canon EOS R5. Let's see if we can get some Mercedes-Benz motorcycle photography generated here. So here are the motorcycles based on those prompts, remixing those prompts. I gave it a couple different attempts, and I felt like this one was pretty close to our reference images. Here are the reference images one more time. There's one and the other, and back to ours there. So with anything AI related, you're going to need to test and iterate, find the different words that this describe function is pulling out, and use those, keep refining those into your ideal prompt. Now let me show you another angle to take. This is using your style guide. And for this, I was able to find NASA's style guide from 1976, which is pretty cool. And I'll put a link to this in the cheat sheet as well. This goes through all the documentation of NASA's style from that very formative period. These types of retro images are very popular these days. So this could be a cool style guide if your brand is hip, modern, fashion, retro. This could be a cool style guide to take a look at. That's like 80 pages long, got all the fonts, and yeah, some really cool retro images. So what we're basically going to do here is upload this whole style guide into Claude. I think Claude has the largest context window of any of the large language models, and I think it can handle these large documents. Even if the other ones technically have larger context windows, I think Claude handles these big documents. Like I said, this is an 80-page style guide. So we're going to use Claude to parse this thing apart and pull together any of its brand guidelines, focusing on, its use of photography versus illustration, realism versus abstraction, additional styles, techniques, etc. And I'll show you how to do this now. Here we are in Claude. I'm clicking this paper clip and I'm uploading this NASA manual, NASA style guide. And then I'm grabbing this summary prompt from the cheat sheet. This is a rather long prompt, but you can get a sense for it here. You can either take a screenshot or support me on Patreon and be able to copy and paste this stuff very easy. But it basically says, please analyze the brand guidelines for the colors, fonts, logos, feeling, mood, and present those in a clear, organized format. Running that in Claude, see what it comes up with. And Claude has now given us a pretty great summary of the basics of this brand guideline. I've got another prompt here specifically related to the imagery, as that was what we're focusing on here. I'm going to run this analysis on the imagery specifically. And this is a very long prompt that really just goes into photography versus illustration, realism versus abstraction, additional styles or techniques, and overall impression. And now we want to take all that summarized information and create a good prompt for it. So this is what I use to create that. We're going to insert the imagery summary here, but it basically says take this imagery summary and create a prompt that I can use in MidJourney to recreate images based on this summary. I've copied and pasted all of that in there. I have offset the summary using these three quotation marks so it knows where the summary is versus where the rest of the prompt is. This is separating the prompt from the context that I'm trying to add. So let's run this. So this is really cool. It has given us a handful of prompts we can then begin to test and use. One for realistic photography, one for stylized illustration, one for mixed media template, and it's given us explanations of why it came up with these prompts. I've run a few of these in MidJourney and want to just show you some of the cool stuff I came up with. These different retro shuttle images, super cool, very modern, retro modern, I guess. I think this style is back in vogue. You could see people wearing t-shirts just like this. Here's some more there that I used with those prompts created from that style guide. And I will include those prompts in the cheat sheet as well if this is a style you want to emulate, because I know if I was watching this video, I might want to recreate some of that stuff. Okay, so going a little bit further, there are some basic commands in MidJourney. The imagine is the command for creating anything, but there's also info, settings, describe that we went over. Blend combines multiple images into a single prompt, which is pretty cool. There are these other shortcuts for doing various things. I haven't really messed with these very much. The ones that jump out to me a lot are these chaos and style. Those seem to be what folks in that MidJourney magazine use quite a lot, and that's pretty interesting to me. There's also this seed value, which gives you you can set that random seed. So if you've got something that you really, really like, you can make sure to really mimic that as closely as possible by utilizing this seed value. Then, of course, you can zoom in or out if you want to get more of the landscape around the image, or zooming in as you're creating your different variations. And this isn't a full guide on MidJourney, but I just wanted to go through some of this stuff because I came across it in my research and wanted to share it with you. So there are those. Also thinking about negative prompts. So if the MidJourney is really creating something consistently, like it's putting people in your images when you just want landscapes, you can use these negative flags. So by saying no people with these two little dashes, no, maybe it's no vehicles or no roads or something like that. Whatever you want to not appear in your images, these are very helpful to use. No shadows, no reflections, no busy backgrounds. A lot of times it can be easier to steer these large language models, or these AI image generation models, I should say, by telling them what not to create. So I wanted to mention that. Also want to mention these post-processing techniques. So getting comfortable with these lookup tables, these LUTs, they're used a lot in video, but you can also think of them as really basically Instagram filters that you can start to develop. And this can be that final step to really make sure that your brand images are all uniform. Thinking about applying these LUTs or these different types of filters in order to gain some consistency. There are some other ideas in here as well, using selective adjustments with luminosity masks. That's a Photoshop technique, and I think you can do it in other software as well. But these are a few different ideas for taking it to that next level, especially that LUT, that filter. Image filters can really help, but there's a few others that came up here in my research. And then my favorite MidJourney magazine prompts are here in the cheat sheet. I have been subscribing to MidJourney magazine for maybe a year or more. And there are some really cool things that I've gone through each issue and gathered a few of my favorite prompts from each issue, put those here in the cheat sheet. I'll just demonstrate one of these for you, and we will wrap up the video. How about this? Hazy, whimsical island, 1980s, collage, vivid fantasy, liminal, abstract, surreal, light, vintage, colors. What's really cool about the MidJourney magazine is you can see how people are using these different commands. So there's one, even a weird command, had no idea that was in there. You can also get a feel for how some very simple prompts can create some really interesting things. Let's go ahead and run this one. Awesome, and here's some crazy stuff that this has generated, some really unique images. And this is just one of many of those prompts. Look at that. That is super cool. Very vintage. You could see that as an album cover. Really inspiring. All right, so that is all in the cheat sheet, as well as this quick start. If you've never messed with MidJourney or Discord before, that's all in there. Really went to town on this. This is a 9-page document, so hard to call them cheat sheets anymore. But I really appreciate you watching. I hope you got something out of this video. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, I really appreciate that. Let me know what questions you have in the comments area, and if you're getting something out of these videos, definitely check out the Patreon. That really helps support the mission of empowering marketers and entrepreneurs and creative individuals to learn these new AI tools. And I will see you on the next video.
Make your dreams come true.